Today's question is super simple. Can a cheap vacuum cleaner be a good vacuum cleaner? If you watch my videos, you may notice that I have tried so many upright vacuum cleaners, and today I have to try another one. Actually, these tests would be quite boring by now, but the Jigoo C200 caught my attention because they offer relatively good features at a relatively low price, and well, it can still be of interest. At least it surely holds my interest. Jigoo is a company from which we already have a household machine at home, namely a mattress vacuum cleaner and a mite vacuum cleaner, and I am very satisfied with that machine. So I became very curious about the C500 and C200. It's two new upright vacuum cleaners, of which the cheaper one is the C200. What can it actually do? Let's just say the specifications aren't too strong, but they're not weak either. So it falls somewhere in the middle category in terms of suction power, battery life, and various other capabilities. In return, they don't ask for much. There. In today's video, we will go through the usual things. So first, we will look at the accessories. Then we will look at the vacuum cleaner. I will also tell you the specifications, and at the end, I'll share how it was to use. Let's dive in. We get a few accessories, but not too many, and I'll be able to show them to you one by one. The first thing worth looking at is the wall mount, which is not a very large piece, but I would definitely like to draw your attention to the fact that it has two connectors, which means we can charge the vacuum through it. So, you mount it on the wall with two screws. Hang up the vacuum cleaner, and there's no need to keep plugging the cable into the vacuum's base. It can charge through the wall mount. You can insert the charging cable at the bottom and everything is sorted. The wall mount's other great feature is that you can also store the accessories on it. It's super simple and super convenient. All you have to do is snap them in here. The two attachments go here, and here you can see that the attachments are right on the wall mount, so you don't have to search for them. They won't get lost. Everything you might need for cleaning is always at hand. The next thing I need to show is the small brush with bristles. Well, this small brush with bristles is not really a big deal. It doesn't seem like very good quality. It has a bit of a cheap plastic feel. The buttons also move a little bit jerkily, so if the manufacturer cut costs somewhere, then they definitely did with this brush. But maybe that's the smaller issue. It would be a much bigger problem if they had cut costs on the machine. So let's just say that this brush does what it's supposed to. It's good and usable. In fact, there are no moving parts on this outside the adjustable head. So it's unlikely to break or malfunction. Let's just say I've seen prettier ones. Next is this crevice tool. I could say exactly the same about the crevice tool as I did about the small bristle brush. So the plastics, well, not the best. There are some visible weld seams. The button doesn't move very smoothly in it, but really there's nothing wrong with it. So it serves the purpose it was designed for. It can suck out dirt from crevices. It also has no moving parts, so it probably won't break either. At most, it might slightly irritate your eyes due to the cost cutting by the manufacturer on this suction head. The next is the telescopic tube, which in my opinion turned out really well. It looks very nice. It feels like a metal tube, although nowadays I increasingly encounter those plastic tubes that look very metallic. In feel, grip, weight, this might actually be metal, not some kind of plastic, which is definitely a plus. The ratchet mechanism works very well inside. You can see the length of the tube is adjustable. It stands tight and secure, so you can comfortably adjust the pipe length to your height, allowing you to clean comfortably and reach higher places, like dusting the tops of shelves and such. So, I am absolutely satisfied with this tube. Here, the cutting corners aren't so noticeable. If you look at the plastics, you can see that one is a sort of matte and the other a shiny material. And in terms of feel, grip, and quality, this is quite a different material than the other one. So, on this tube, I really don't find any signs of sparing. It's a very good piece. Last is the motorized brush. The motorized brush looks really good. It's built from very good materials, very good wild little buttons on it. The same corrugated hose-like thing is there as on all other vacuums, so you can fit it under cabinets and everywhere else easily. It has nice large rubber wheels that won't get stuck. And the roller brush that is built in also seems very good. What's interesting about it is that there are alternating, relatively soft, furry, V-shaped parts, and behind them V-shaped rubber blades. And these blades will collect the dirt. To get into the suction head, into the suction tube, I would like to draw your attention to this head, to the fact that there are comb-like teeth here as well, which serve to remove the hair and textile fibers that wind onto the roller brush. You can see it spinning on the brush. It just touches this hair removal brush, and it nicely strips off the wrapped strands, directing them here to the tube so they will go into the container. I really like this brush. It's interesting that there is only one LED on it, extended with a small prism, which probably helps with cost saving, since it wasn't necessary to install 5 LEDs. One was more than enough. And from the tests, I already know that this single LED provides adequate light. So I think the brush turned out well. It's again a good piece, roughly the same quality as the suction tube was. And now the vacuum cleaner can come. The vacuum cleaner is a bit more interesting because at first glance my impression is absolutely positive. The materials are very good here too. The assembly is very good. It doesn't creak, it doesn't crackle. This top part looks really nice, which is actually just a design element because the motor is here inside behind it and the battery was placed in the back part. This battery also looks really good. You can see it's also designed. It is an absolutely well-looking piece. So I must say at first glance, this Porcibo is a really good piece. It looks really nice. The design is very good. The assembly is very good. The materials are very good. It's very inventive, at least at first glance, that the display is on the back of the battery, which turns on when we switch on the machine. It doesn't really show much. It indicates with color green and red that the Porcibo operates in normal or turbo mode, and it shows the battery charge, and there is feedback if the dust container is full. That's about all it can do. It has 2 buttons. With one you can turn it on, and with the other you can. As I said, the suction power can be adjusted in 2 levels. So at first this seems like a really good thing, but I do have some objections regarding it. The manufacturer highlights that the big advantage of this is that you can buy a second battery or another battery if this one were to break, and that's great because the battery can be replaced without any repairs. However, placing the display on the battery definitely affects the battery. The cost will increase. So from this perspective, it's not so fortunate that they put the buttons and everything on the battery, because if you need to buy a second battery, then you will have to pay for this again. Trade-offs, design. It looks good, but still I would say it seems a bit like a waste of money. And now comes the part I don't really like about this machine, and that's the dust container, because you see this dust container is not removable. It opens with a button just like all other similar machines. You press it, you can open the dust container, but the big problem is that it cannot be removed. You can remove the filter inside with a half turn, and here behind it you might see what we want to show. The 3 tiny little tabs you see inside hold the filter in place, and to me they seem very fragile. I think a stronger solution would have been necessary, because when I tried it out, of course they held, were in place, and there was no problem. However, I can imagine that after many years of use, these plastic tabs might wear down. They weaken, break off, and if they break, it will be quite an expensive repair, probably not even worth fixing. Incidentally, the vacuum cleaner has a 5-layer filtration system. In addition to the usual cyclone system that swirls the air in the container, we find a HEPA filter, a foam filter, and inside we find these tubes, as well as the steel filter. So it has a 5-layer filtration system that serves to separate the incoming dirt from the clean air, and then only clean air will come out at the top of the vacuum cleaner. From this perspective, I have no complaints about the machine. Since the 5-layer system is considered an absolutely acceptable standard these days. Moreover, many inexpensive machines only have 3 or 4 layers, so the 5 layers definitely deserve a red point. There's no merit for the tabs I showed inside because in my opinion they seem like relatively weak solutions, or at least they appear weak to me. On the other hand, the tab that holds the bottom of the container is strong and stable, not like in prophylactic vacuum cleaners because those tend to break. So yeah. Well, not everything can be perfect. Let's leave it at that. Now that we got to know the machine itself and the accessories, I'll say a few words about the specifications. What is very important is that the suction power is 23,000 pascals, so we get 23 kilopascals. And what is very important is that the battery runtime in turbo mode is 15 minutes and in normal mode is 40 minutes according to the factory data. Now comes the part about what it was like to use the vacuum cleaner. Of course, I tested everything like I usually do. I vacuumed soup pearls as large debris rise, like small debris, and flour, like dust. Additionally, I checked the actual operating time in turbo mode. I also checked the noise the vacuum cleaner rises. The good news in this area is that the manufacturer is honest, so the noise level they promise is accurate. True, only in normal mode. If you switch to turbo mode, then the volume increases by 10 decibels, which is a little bit disturbing. There is no problem with the battery life. In normal mode, instead of 40 minutes, I measured about 36 minutes. But in turbo mode, instead of the specified 15 minutes, I measured over 16 minutes. There was absolutely no problem with the suction power. The vacuum cleaner passed all 3 tests. As usual, the only problem was that the larger debris didn't fit under the head, so I had to lift the head a bit to vacuum them up. The filter system is also important in the machine and it performed very well, so well in fact that all the dust remained in the container. I removed the filter and even the top of the pipe system inside the filter was completely clean. So the dirt not only didn't reach the sponge, but it didn't even reach the top of the filter system. So we can safely say that the 5-layer filter system in this vacuum cleaner performed excellently. So, what's the essence of this machine, the Jigoo C200? The essence is that we get it for 40,000 forints, which I think is a very, very good price. For 40,000 forints, we get a decent basic machine, a decent battery capacity, a decent suction power, and well, minor issues related to the tank. We get a very high quality motorized brush, we get a very high quality pipe, we get a not a very high quality but practical wall mount, and these two, well, let's say a slightly poorer quality accessory. In my opinion, this package is not bad for 40,000 forints. The machine delivers what it promises. The manufacturer didn't lie about the noise level or the cleaning time achievable with one charge. I see these again as positives. It looks good. They don't ask much for it. So, if this performance is sufficient for you, if this capability is sufficient, well, in my opinion, you can purchase this machine with confidence. It's well worth the 40,000 forints. That's it for today. I'll conclude this test here. Take care and I'll be back soon with another test. Meanwhile, subscribe to the channel. Be good and goodbye. Look.